Hello guys. So we're gonna just take a fast look at Fenrir's Reminiscence. So it's the new super boss. I'm personally not actually trying to beat him currently. I'm using him to burn my stamina, so that's why he's at 24 losses. I'm doing it the lazy way because I don't want to farm and I'm out this weekend, so I can't really do it. But I'm just gonna point out how exactly one would beat it, what is the best strategies you could try to use, and what are some other ways to beat it. So the very first thing is you gotta know that they have a lot of skills that are gonna affect the team as a whole. Damage the enemy team 5% every 10 minutes. Recover team's life 15% every 10 minutes. So you want to be very careful with the timing of what you do. But you're really going to try to take advantage of this skill, Illusionary Mimi. Allied team's life damaged by 32% every 3 minutes, and you want to stop it at 1 stack. Just because there's this thing, increase penetration critical resistance by 100 and decrease the damage received by 75 when your life is 60% or lower. Now that was a 32% lowering, so if that happens twice, it activates, and that's just when it's gonna be very hellish to beat. Then it's gonna heal back up a little bit, lower a little bit. So one way you could win it is pretty much just block the ball mid and wait, because the lowering of life is actually more powerful than a high ring in their team. So just wait for the goalkeeper to be super low, penetrate, destroy them. So that's one of the easy ways to do it. That does require you to have a very strong legend mid. That's personally how I'm planning to do it. And if you want, of course, you can always change the immunity of your legends. Just use the new Thunder minions and you're good with that. Now that, of course, does require you to have free legends, or at least legend-like players midline that can completely block the ball. And then you can put supports in backline, just global totems, just stack them. There's no issue there. Then frontline, you can usually run your main frontline. Ideally, if you have a Char, if you have a William, that will be better. Char is kind of better for PV, so Char would be best. And then a damage increase totem and a passer. For example, Scylla already has a Soul Gravel immunity, so that's a good idea. An example of what I'm talking about is basically this comp. Frontline, we got Armel. She can do penetration in the condition that he's above the amount of life needed. Vonchi is because I don't feel like using Char. I have her. She's 7-star. I might do that later on. I'll do a video when I finally get fed up of farming the points for the event. Balteon, I mean, I should change his immunity, but I feel lazy. But ideally, you should do that. And here's basically what the mid should look like. This is just like a tank mid. Metatron's gonna heal. Metatron's got a battalion. Duke's gonna be ball holding like a tank. And Isila's going to give a 20% damage reduction to the line. She's also tanky. She's able to heal. I've combined that with Latios Life Buff and Latios Ace, who is permanent DR to light units. The only issue is that depending on how well your Metatron is stoned, that won't work so well for you. And then the backline, again, like I said, just global totems. Yenon, Cynthia, just to counter the Murian speed buffs. Even... Celestia, just because they're going to have a lot of reflex, so you want to have March of Death maxed out. And of course, if you're able to have like any of the other ones maxed out, just be aware that if you're doing this, it's better they don't go back. Metatron actually helps you counter this, because if for any reason they go back, you'll have so much action bar in backline that you'll just be able to walk out of the ball. But it's still kind of dangerous to try not to rely on this that much. It's better they just never hit your back line. So this is one of the ways to beat it. I've come very close to beating it. I tried to lose when I did it because I want to use this to farm and I don't want to do gold matches. And using the stamina reduce, I mean, the amount of matches I'd have to do are just insane to get all the rewards I want. So I'm not doing that. Now the second way, who's also a very popular way, is taking advantage again of the timer. So you gotta aim between 3 and 6 minutes. That's the ideal time if you're trying to do this fast. You gotta find a way in midline for you to slow them down. For example, throw a Diamantes, throw anything that can slow down the team, throw a Cynthia. You wanna slow them down. Action bar burning is also great. And at exactly 3 minutes, you want a forward pass to Char. So you're not awaiting your front line to have any passers. and you give 1, 2 even free damage increase totems right there. So that's going to allow you to get some really nice hits in there, and the backline can just be global totems. So that's the second way to beat it. It's also pretty nice, but it does require you to have some really nice totems, and it does require some resistant passer or passer buffers in midline. Now, damage increase, of course, when I'm thinking about that, I'm thinking Celis, I'm thinking Vivid Fear, I'm thinking Armel, anyone that has a line buff that helps, doesn't require an active, and ideally that has damage increase. So you're going to be looking for in midline. Again, talk to your clubmates. A lot of them will switch their aces during this period. Even I changed mine to help out my clubmates. So just do that or write on their chat. I don't know. Some clubs don't have a chat. So that's the second way. And the third way is actually a little bit similar, but it's changed in the way that you don't trust you're going to be able to block the ball mid. So this is especially if you don't use Enervation. It's a bit better. But it requires that you either own a Char or you own an Askeladd, because, well, you're going to need either one of the two. So you're going to put 2 damage increase totem, ideally 3. You're going to throw your Char. Midline is just global totems. Just careful that you don't throw a Celestia, because if they penetrate her, it's gonna mess up the math, and that's going to totally destroy your comp. And in backline, you're going to use 2 free passer buffers. The best example of this would be Yuri and Kiki. You'd throw those, you'd throw an Askeladd. They just need to be able to shoot only once on your goalkeeper. You pass to Askeladd, she active passes to Char, Char active shoots, it's over. So that's pretty much the third alternate method. And of course, the fourth one is just use Enervation till you can finally just auto it and just don't care anymore. That's also another way to beat it. Now again, you want to just be careful when what method you're using. Just again, remember that Princess Murin has her speed skill. Murin's survival has been buffed. BT's survival has been buffed. Murin's going to hit the hardest, and her active is going to be kind of problematic to block the line. You want to try a really weakened Kyoko, because she's the weakest link in the group. So penetrating through her is pretty easy if you try to go through that method. Again, on the strikers, you don't want Nana to shoot, just because in case she shoots, she's going to get back action bar. If it's a Bocchi, it's much better. Goalkeeper, stone-wise, you want to not actually be relying on DR, because penetration, critical rate is going to be bad. So just having actual life, for example, Isila's with, I keep forgetting the name of that stone. The one that gives life 35% is a pretty good bet as a goalkeeper. So if this helps you guys understand the basics on how to beat it, and later on when I actually do it, I'll make a video on it, but I think this should give you the main tips and ideas. If you look on the forum, there's Vassallo, who even posted a video of him doing it without using any legends. So that should give you a few ideas. There's a few description threads about this on the Reddit. So look at the comps, talk about your players, and we can try to figure out a way for you to beat it. But it's honestly, if you got a Char, it's going to go much easier, and some nice global totems, of course. That's just facts. And would I advise, if you're not planning to use him, getting him? I'm going to say his kit is interesting for one-hit KO meta, just because he'll be able to generate spirit when someone else is pulling off an active, who can allow you to change stones in frontline and try a few different things, who I find pretty cool. Speed bonus is not bad. Now, using him in PvP, I wouldn't advise that. So if you feel you want to try COT comps, or you want to try going in a COD score wars, he could be very interesting. And he can completely replace DD, because he'll give the same amount if you put him in the line of the passer, but then there's a story of score again. It's up to you to decide what you prefer, but he is an option. He could have potential value in PvE content. So up to you to decide if you want to do it. Again, going, I'd say 10% innervation can never help. Above that, I don't think you need to do it. If you're using the Askeladd strat, you don't need any innervation, because you're just going to destroy it. If you're using the midline strat, I'd say 10 to 20 max is all you should need. And if you're using the midline legend, well, it's just going to depend the investment of your legends. If they're fully invested, you don't need innervation. If they're medium invested, you could even need to go up to 30%. So I hope this helps you guys get the trick. Have a good day, and if you have any comments, as always, write them down in the description. Ciao, ciao.